Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The silver hinges of the suitcase creaked like a cautionary whisper as I opened it. The cold, dim light of our bedroom spilled over the rumpled clothes and scattered souvenirs. Jenna, my wife of 7 years, was sprawled across our bed, her chest rising and falling with a weariness that only a week of back-to-back meetings could bestow. She'd just returned from what was supposed to be a grueling business trip to Chicago. I decided to help by unpacking her suitcase. The idea was to let her sleep undisturbed, a small act of kindness to ease her return. As I removed a stack of neatly folded blouses and placed them into the drawer, my hand stumbled upon a heavier, unexpected object at the bottom of her luggage. It was a small, intricately carved wooden box that I had never seen before. Curiosity piqued, I hesitated. Jenna shifted in her sleep, murmuring something incoherent. The stillness of the room urged me on, and I opened the box. Inside, nestled against the plush velvet lining, lay a heart-shaped pendant on a thin gold chain, decidedly not hers, and certainly not meant for her. A note accompanied the jewelry, scribbled in a bold, unfamiliar hand: "Can't wait until you're finally free to be with me. Forever yours, E." The air seemed to thicken, a numbing chill swept through me. This was not just any trinket, it was a promise of a future that excluded me. Rage and confusion warred within me. How long had this been going on? Who was E? My thoughts spiraled as I pictured her, my Jenna, entangled in the arms of another, whispering promises she'd once made to me. My hands trembled as I placed the box back, my mind racing through scenarios. I needed confirmation, proof that this wasn't just a terrible misunderstanding. As quietly as I could, I extracted her phone from the purse she'd dumped by the door. The passcode was her birthday, something I had suggested years ago. The phone unlocked to reveal a string of messages, all from a contact labeled simply as E. The most recent message sent a shiver down my spine: "Miss you already. Love, E." That was it, the undeniable proof. The betrayal sliced through the remnants of trust one had clung to. Jenna stirred again, her brow furrowing slightly as if sensing the tension that now filled the room. I watched her, the woman I had loved so deeply, now a stranger harboring secrets. With the phone in my hand, a plan began to form. A plan not just to confront her, but to unravel her deceit completely. If she had chosen to build her happiness on the ruins of our life together, then I would ensure that the foundation of her new world would be as shattered as my heart was at this moment. The road to retribution was clear, and as I stared at her sleeping form, a cold resolve settled over me. Jenna would have her freedom, but it would come at a cost she hadn't anticipated. I would make sure of it. The silence of the night was now a canvas, and I was ready to paint my vengeance across it. As dawn crept into the room, casting a pale light on the chaos that had unfolded in the dark, I knew one thing for sure: there was no going back. Our story, once filled with love, was now a tale of betrayal and impending revenge. Morning light seeped through the blinds, casting long shadows across the bedroom where Jenna still lay, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just inches away. My night had been sleepless, spent pacing the cold floor, the image of the pendant burning in my mind. As the aroma of brewed coffee filled the air, a semblance of normalcy tried to settle into the room, but it was a thin veneer over the churning chaos of my thoughts. Today, I would confront her. Today, she would have to face the consequences of her actions. I prepared breakfast, the clatter of plates and cutlery a sharp contrast to the silent plan forming in my head. When everything was ready, I gently shook Jenna awake. Her eyes fluttered open, confusion giving way to a sleepy smile. "Morning, love," she murmured, stretching her arms. "You made breakfast." I nodded, the act feeling more like a performance now. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Jenna's smile faltered as she followed me to the dining table. She seemed to sense the gravity in my demeanor as she took her seat, her eyes searching mine for clues. I placed a cup of coffee in front of her and sat down with the wooden box between us. "What's this?" Jenna asked, her voice tinged with a nervous edge as she eyed the box. "Why don't you tell me?" I pushed the box towards her. Jenna opened it, her face draining of color as she recognized the contents. "I found it in your suitcase." Jenna's fingers trembled as they touched the pendant. "It's not what you think," she started, but her voice was too weak, too late. "Not what I think." "Jenna, it's exactly what I think." "Who is he?" My demand cut through the soft hum of the morning, sharp and unyielding. Tears welled up in her eyes as she clutched the pendant. I made a mistake," she whispered. "A mistake?" I scoffed, my heart hardening with each faltering word she spoke. "Is it a mistake that's been going on for how long? Months? Years?" "It was just a few times. I was going to end it. I love you, I really do. It just happened." Jenna's voice broke, the confession hanging between us, heavy and suffocating. I leaned back, the hurt morphing into anger. "Just happened? You think this just happens?" I stood abruptly, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. Jenna flinched, the sound a stark echo of my fury. I paced in front of her, each step a hammer to my calm. "You were going to end it. When? After he gave you this?" I picked up the pendant, holding it up as evidence of her betrayal. Jenna sobbed, her body shaking. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "Sorry doesn't even begin to cover it," I said coldly. "You've broken us, Jenna. There's no coming back from this." I watched as she crumbled under the weight of her choices. The room filled with her pleading cries, but they fell on deaf ears. My mind was made up. The plan I had formed in the dark hours of the night was set in motion. Jenna's betrayal would not go unanswered. Retribution was the only path left for me. As I left the room, her cries still echoed behind me. The die was cast. The next steps were clear. Jenna had chosen her fate the moment she decided to betray our vows. Now, it was my turn to end it, in a way she never saw coming. The gears of revenge were turning, and there was no stopping them now. The morning's revelations had left a palpable chill in the air, the kind that seeps into bones and festers. As Jenna remained locked in the bedroom, her sobs muffled through the door, I sat at the kitchen table, my laptop open, planning every move with surgical precision. Revenge, I realized, wasn't just about the infliction of pain, it was about justice, about restoring a balance that Jenna had so carelessly toppled. I began by isolating her socially. I crafted a series of emails from Jenna's account, ones she'd left logged in on our shared computer, to her closest colleagues and friends. Each message was a concoction of half-truths and outright lies designed to alienate her from those she valued most. By the time she'd find out, the damage would be irreparable. As I hit send on the last email, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mark, Jenna's brother, and unwittingly, my ally in this unfolding drama. He'd always been more of a friend to me than a brother-in-law. "Hey, everything all right?" "Jenna isn't answering her calls," his message read. I typed quickly, the keys clacking under the weight of my resolve. "Big fight. She's confessed to cheating. Not sure we'll make it through this." Mark's response was swift, a mix of shock and support. "I'm so sorry, man. Anything I can do? Just be there for her. She's going to need family." With Mark distracted by Jenna's personal crisis, I moved to the next phase, financial. Jenna had always been lax about securing her digital presence. Her passwords were predictable, her security questions easily guessed by someone who shared her bed and life. Logging into her investment accounts, I began transferring her shares into an untraceable account. It wasn't theft, it was retribution. The money she had saved for our future together, now redirected to serve as a reminder of the future she had jeopardized. Hours passed, the screen's glow the only light as dusk fell. My final act for the day was perhaps the cruelest. I printed out every incriminating text message from her phone, every intimate email exchanged with E, and placed them in an envelope addressed to her parents. They deserved to know the kind of duplicity their daughter was capable of. By the time Jenna emerged from the bedroom, her eyes red and swollen, the house felt different, emptier, as though the very walls recoiled from the secrets they housed. "I want to explain," she began, her voice hoarse from crying, but I held up a hand to stop her. "No need. I know everything I need to know. We're done, Jenna. But I love you." "Love?" I interrupted, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "Your love is a poison. And I won't let it kill me." She faltered, stepping back as if my words were physical blows. "What are you going to do?" "Consider yourself lucky if this ends with just a divorce," I said, my tone cold and detached. As Jenna sank to the floor, her whole body shaking with sobs, I felt a twinge of satisfaction. The house was silent save for the sound of her despair, a fitting soundtrack to the ruin she'd brought upon herself. The night was thick with a tense silence as I made my final preparations. Every action, every step was driven by the raw, unyielding energy of betrayal. Jenna, unaware of the full extent of my plans, was now just a shadow moving quietly through the house we once called a home. Our interactions had dwindled to nothing but necessary exchanges, cold and sharp as the autumn air outside. In the solitude of my home office, I laid out the documents and photographs I had collected over the past few days, each a testament to Jenna's deceit. I arranged them meticulously in a large envelope. This package wasn't destined for any family member or friend, it had a much more critical audience, her employer. As I sealed the envelope, my phone vibrated. It was an unknown number, but I answered it instinctively. "Is this Mr. Ryan?" a cautious male voice asked. "Yes." "Who is this?" "This is Detective Martin from the local police department. I'm calling about a matter involving your wife, Jenna. It seems there have been allegations of fraud linked to her corporate account." A slow smile spread across my face. "Yes, Detective. I was actually about to send some pertinent information to her company. It appears you might find it useful as well." "Indeed, Mr. Ryan. Could we meet to discuss this further?" "Absolutely," I replied, my voice calm and controlled. The wheels of justice, it seemed, were turning faster than even I had anticipated. The meeting with Detective Martin was brief. He took the envelope, his expression unreadable as he glanced through the contents. I explained everything, the affair, the secret communications, and my suspicion of her financial misdeeds. "Thank you, Mr. Ryan. We'll take it from here. It's best if you avoid any personal confrontations." "Understood, Detective," I assured him, though my plans for Jenna were far from what the law might dictate as appropriate. That evening, Jenna returned home from work, her face ashen, her steps uncertain. She looked at me, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of the woman I had once loved. But it vanished quickly, replaced by the mask of someone caught in the snare of their own making. "Ryan, we need to talk," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I think everything that needed to be said has been said, Jenna," I responded, my tone icy. "No, please. It's not just about us. There's something you don't know." "Something important," she insisted, stepping closer. I studied her, the curiosity piqued despite my better judgment. What could possibly be left to discuss? Jenna took a deep breath, her hands trembling. "The affair, it was a mistake, but it was part of something bigger. I've been working undercover with the company. The affair, the trips, it was all staged. It was to get close to a syndicate, to expose a ring of corporate espionage. I couldn't tell you because it would have put us both in danger. Her words hit me like a blast of cold air. What are you saying? I've been working with federal agents, Ryan. Everything was monitored, controlled. I had to keep you out of it to keep you safe. I'm so sorry, she pleaded, her eyes searching mine for any sign of understanding. The room spun around me as her confession sank in. Had my quest for revenge been against an illusion? No, it couldn't be. But the conviction in her voice, the documents she hastily pulled from her bag showing her cooperation with law enforcement, it painted a picture so starkly different from the narrative I had crafted. The ultimate betrayal wasn't hers, it was the situation's. Fooled by the very deception designed to protect us, I had dismantled our lives for nothing. The realization was a crueler blow than any secret lover could ever have struck. I need to think, I stammered, backing away from her. But there was nothing left to salvage. The ruins of our relationship lay around us, a testament to the destructive power of mistrust and revenge. Jenna nodded, her expression resigned. I'll leave, she said quietly. For both our sakes. As she walked away, the finality of the moment was overwhelming. I had destroyed everything on the altar of vengeance, only to find that the sacrifice was in vain. Jenna disappeared into the night, and with her, the last flicker of what might have been. In the end, the house was silent, filled only with the echoes of a love lost not to betrayal of the heart, but to the machinations of a crueler fate. I sat alone, a victor in a war that had never truly existed, staring into the embers of a life that could no longer be reclaimed.